Morning everyone. So I'm out on a Saturday long run. It's 6 a.m. I'm about 1 kilometre in, so body's starting to feel a little bit better about it. My plan for today is to head out from Ferny Grove, take it along Samford Road till about, I think it's Marshall Road, turn south at about 7.5k, then follow that through to Waterworks Road near Red Hill, and then run along that toward the city until about essentially the Normandy Hotel, and then I'll turn around and start to come back, but I come back via Kelvin Grove Road and then turn back onto Samford Road and sort of just trace my way back, so it'll give me a fairly big elongated balloon. It's a nice morning. We've had a bit of rain, so looks like the sun's going to come out, but so there's probably going to be a bit of humidity. See how we go. Anyway, probably be running for about 2.5 hours, I think. I'll just sort of switch the camera on for little snippets every so often, but yeah, hopefully it's a nice one today. I think it's been about 2 weeks since I've done a long run. Last week was camping over the Easter weekend, and I only managed to get a 9k run in, which was pretty fantastic, really. It was a 4.7 kilometre stretch of, I believe, a recently completed Murray Valley rail trail just near Imbil and Brulu. So I did an out and back on that. That was a lot of fun, and I think because there were so many people camping within the region, it was also more heavily trafficked than I anticipated. But to get back to my point, which I was going to make, was it's been a while since I've done a long run, and that was the first kind of hill of this long run, and I can just tell it's going to be a struggle to keep my heart rate down, because it's already pushing me through zone 2 into zone 3, so it seems like I'm going to have to apply the brakes a fair bit today. Oh well, just take it easy. Just see how we go. was listening to a podcast recently. I think it was Rich Roll, and he had on the Norwegian Ironman distance triathletes, Kristen Blumenthal, and I can't remember the name of his training partner right now when I needed it. But anyway, something that keeps coming to mind is that they were talking about how they do a lot of work with core body temperature data, and historically the technology wasn't there, so they'd utilize a suppository to log data during their training sessions, but we couldn't access the data until after the session and review it in retrospect against how they push. But through their work with, I believe it's core body temp, there's a device now that they wear on their skin, just strapped to their heart rate, monitor strap, and it provides real-time feedback. But one of the interesting things was, your core temperature can elevate during exercise, which is completely fine, but in the early stages of a run or a bike or what have you, when the core temperature is rising to produce perspiration, to try and cool your body down, that feeling of the core temperature rise sometimes can be felt by you, the athlete, as like, you can feel that you're becoming hotter, and therefore it can be recognized as something negative, like, perhaps I'm not really up to the task of completing exercise today because I feel rather awful, and it's something that I've started to notice now, that in particular on days where you're potentially lacking motivation to get out there, that somewhere between I'd say 7 and maybe 15 minutes while this process is occurring, where your body is acclimating, raising its temperature to produce sweat in an attempt to cool you down. That is where I have a lot of my initial self-reflection, where I start to question whether or not I can actually do the plan in front of me. So what I've been finding is that whenever I have those doubts early on, the best thing to do is just sort of pay them less attention than what I had been in the past, because it's very likely that the progenitor of all of that is the core body temperature rise. So you just feel terrible sometimes while it's happening. Anyway, that took 5 minutes to explain. That I figured that'd be like a 1 or 2 minute clip. Anyway, I tend to ramble, and I'm obviously talking in broken sentences because, again, my heart rate's probably a little bit higher than what I prefer at this pace. But yeah, I think just not being out there doing the slow stuff has kind of impacted me. I read somewhere that when you come out of a bit of a walk or run or, you know, just general mobility, even driving, where you've been confined or your view has been constrained by objects, vegetation, from an evolutionary standpoint, when you finally make it out to an expansive view, you get this sense of awe and wonder, which seems to correlate to, I guess, the significance of the viewpoint itself. And so they believe from an evolutionary standpoint that while this is happening, you know, your mind actually catalogs that location for future return, so that you can come and view it and get a vantage point of, you know, the potential dangers that lurk either close to you or, you know, in the middle or far sort of scope of where you may be residing. So it's always interesting to sort of pick up on these things when they're occurring, because I have so many more comforts these days that it's neat to sort of know where these feelings come from. So I just turned right or south off of Samford Road. So now we're making a bit more of a direct run for the city. So I said earlier in the video that we'd be making that turn. I got one detail right, one detail wrong. So what I got right was that the turn would occur at about 7.5k. We turned at 6.44. But what I got wrong was I said it was Marshall Road, but it is in fact Wardell Street. I think Marshall Road's actually to the south of Brisbane city, and it's a turn-off you take to sort of get to the Griffith University campuses, or maybe around that area. So not sure why that was front of mind. My spatial and temporal recall was pretty good, but sometimes the names attributed to those landmarks are off. So I'm really bad for giving directions that have names attributed to them. When people ask me, I typically say, if you take this main road about X kilometers and then, you know, turn left or right and then follow that for X kilometers, my kilometers and directions are usually spot on, but I just can't give road names. It's too risky, because I know probably 60% of the time I'll say the wrong thing, so I just don't do it. I don't know if that's helpful for others though. I had one gentleman pull up one morning, and I was about 15k into a run, so, you know, I was in the pain cave, and he was completely lost in his car, and he couldn't charge his phone for some reason, so Google Maps went down. He asked me where a place was, and again, I knew where it was spatially, and I started going down the avenue of describing distances and turns at distance markers, but in the end, where he needed to get to was so far away that, and he seemed as though he was having a pretty rough start to the day. He was a little unsettled, and so I just cracked out my phone and pulled it up on Google Maps, and then I sent him a screenshot. I got his number and just sent him a screenshot, because it made me feel more comfortable that I wasn't giving him a bum steer, and I think he needed it that day. Anyway, so long story short, my directions can be imperfect. There's another 5-minute video. See, I am just rambling because I am smack bang in the middle of a runner's high. I'm feeling good. Anyway, pick it up later. Let's see if my next road, Waterworks Road, which we're going to turn onto at the end of Wardell Street, let's see if that is correct, or if I need to switch the camera back on to make a correction. I wanted to get a cafe on the camera roll there because it used to be called Gastown, and been there maybe 3 times with my family, and one of the main reasons was for going there was, well, they had great coffee, but Gastown is the oldest district in Vancouver, Canada. Where a lot of the original settlement was, and so the cafe was an homage to that, and it had art on the wall, and photographs which were taken from Gastown, and the colour scheme was similar, and even the symbol was like one of the old gas-powered lights that have been replaced by electric ones now, but they still line the streets in Gastown. So, it's a bit sad. Looks like it's called Cafe and Bean now. I wonder if the owners are different, and what would make their business model for a cafe in the same location perform better than the previous cafe that was there. That stuff intrigues me. I'm not in marketing though, so I have no idea. Also, it is Waterworks Road, so I got it right. So there's a small win. About almost about to tick over to 11k. Probably turn back for home at around somewhere between 12 and a half and 13. I'm on a pretty nice downhill right now, but things are going to pick up. A lot of steep uphill till we get to the top of Red Hill, I think, and then we sort of start a downward trajectory again, but then all the way home it's a fairly steady incline, including like a 2 or maybe a 4% grade from like Mitchelton to Upper Kedron or Kedron. So anyway, heart rate's going to go up here, going to have a lot of deep breathing, so it's probably not best for you guys to sort of pay attention to. There is a nice viewpoint. Maybe I'll head out there and get it coming up. So got a little bit of a flat section here before the next hill, but I did want to sort of provide some context as to why I wanted the Gastown Cafe to be successful. And I did say it on another video, but appreciate that either no one or not many people are going to watch all of my videos, or even this one. But main reason I wanted to do well is because my wife and I lived in Vancouver for 8 years, and we had our 2 children over there, so my wife and I managed to go through the process of getting Canadian citizenship, and our children, because they were born there, are dual citizens. So anytime I see something that references Vancouver or the area surrounding it, it immediately holds a special place in my heart. Just going to try and sneak across here without being run over. I'll run out to this viewpoint at this St. Bridget's Catholic Church. That structure with the red brick is rather impressive. Not the usual white, but got a lot of gating, a lot of but yeah, out here is a bit of a gem of a viewpoint. See, fairly decent portion of some of the city there. A lot of it's behind that tree, but I think that's Suncorp Stadium. That's South Brisbane. It's kind of southwest of the Brisbane River that forms a bit of a pseudo peninsula around the downtown core of Brisbane City, and we come around here, might be able to get a bit more. Yeah, so city itself, Brisbane City, is poking its head through under that tree there. So yeah, nice little spot. So I just turned onto Lower Clifton Terrace. We're at 12.97 kilometres, so yeah, about the 13 k's that I expected the turnaround would occur. I think it's about 12 to 13k back home from this point. So in terms of running time, it's been an hour 12, so you know, maybe I'll hit that 2 hour 30, but I suspect that my current pace of my average pace so far of 5:34 will diminish as the work aspect really starts to kick in here. Pretty nice day out, all in all. Sky is a lovely blue. The sun's starting to cast a longer shadow, which softens the light a little bit, so it always just makes the view generally a little prettier and easier on the eyes. The sun isn't scorching immediately. You know, we've got a bit of a cooler start to the days now. You know, we're getting down to 17, 18 degrees at night, so it means you're not leaving the house at a plus, you know, 25 or higher temperature, which just absolutely wrecks you at the outset, and then it just gets hot. So yeah, I left a little bit later today too. Usually I'm out the door at before 5, but today I hit the road at 6, so it's been nice not to wear a headlamp and have the full visual component of the run the whole way. I think out of curiosity here I'm going to switch on navigation on the Garmin device and see what it says. The only issue is that I think to navigate back it uses its heat map database, which understandably preferentially selects for bikeways and things that get a lot of data from runners and cyclists, so it never gives you the straightest route, but the fact that it can adjust its navigation is pretty incredible what a watch can do these days. Anyway, it's going to be more of a experiment than anything else. I don't intend to use it. Like I said, I think it'll be somewhere in the vicinity of 12 to 13k to get home from that turnaround point. So I just got past the hilly undulations of Newmarket. I probably got about a 500 meter down and then flat until we head back up the steady incline onto Samford Road. Yeah, I ran a little experiment with Garmin navigation, and at a point at which I probably calculated 12k remaining to my house if I follow my desired path here, which will predominantly be Samford Road. I'm thinking it was probably 12 or 13k to go, turning out or resulting in maybe about 26k combined, and Garmin had it calculated at 15.97. So yeah, I suspect it was pushing me up onto the Kedron Brook, and then there would have been the meanderings that were associated with taking that route. Would have been a bit flatter, so, but ultimately it catches up with you at the end and you have a very steep climb at about 3k to go. So anyway, keep going. I might put some music in here because I'm starting to struggle a bit. I think it was Dr. Nick Tiller, who's on the podcast a lot, just talking about the concept of work and where that really becomes a factor. And so I think at about 11 or 12k, that's at the moment my sweet spot where I can just, you know, keep going until that point without a lot of impact to heart rate. Like I can keep it under control. But then from that point onward, my heart rate, although it'll undulate, it'll just start an ever increasing trend until completion. So it means from about that 11, 12k on, I really have to dig in and bring out the stubbornness and perseverance. So we'll see how we go. Probably start to get a little bit cranky at times now. To the finish along Gasoline Alley. Breathe in.